So the first question is, can you tell us about your experience working with Expert Home Buyer compared to your previous experience with another company?
Sure. Our experience with Expert Home Buyer was great. We had two prior not so good experiences. So by the time we got to Expert Home Buyer, we were excited to be working with somebody that was finally making things happen in a positive way instead of negative. We ran into a person, I guess it wasn't really a company, and we got all the way through the buying process, and maybe less than 48 hours before closing, found out that the financing was not going to happen, and they didn't even show up to the closing. So I reached out to Vaughn, who was the gentleman that we originally showed the home to from Expert Home Buyer. And I asked him, could he get me in touch with his boss? So the CEO actually reached out to us, a gentleman named Reed Sterrett, great guy to work with. He asked, could he come and see the house himself? We live in North Carolina, by the way, so we made the drive down that evening. He met us the next morning at the house. We actually talked for about 3.5 hours. We looked at the inside, we walked around the property. He explained the process with their company. We were looking for a fast close, and they provided that to us. We were getting ready to go away on a cruise, so we left North Carolina and went to Georgia. I woke up to a text the next morning. He had already found us a buyer, so we were gone for 8 days. We got back on the 12th of May. We told him we would be home on the 14th, and we closed on the 15th. So you can't get any better than that.
So what were some specific challenges or frustrations you faced with the previous company, and how did Expert Home Buyer address those concerns?
Some of the previous challenges we faced were everything. We actually went through two buyers before we came to Expert Home Buyers. The first buyer had made an offer, and then like maybe a week and a half later, he asked for a reduction of about 15 to 20,000. We started off at 157.5, and then we ended up at 140. And then he contacted us again and said that the home needed a septic put in. It's an older home. So because we had just took that $17,000 decrease, we were not willing to eat the entire cost of the septic. So we kind of had some words, and he backed out of the deal. So what I did was I just reached out to everybody that was like in the guide or the little signs that you see people put up that say buy homes any condition, fast closing. And I reached out to about 5 different people or phone numbers. And actually in those phone numbers, Expert Home Buyers, the gentleman Vaughn, was included. The only reason that they were not our choice in that round was because the gentleman that we went with had a little bit of a side story, and we gave him a shot. But he was not honest, and basically just didn't have any fun. He said he was an investor, and to me, when you tell me you're an investor, it means you have money, and he did not have money. He was trying to get a loan, and I don't know if he had no credit or bad credit, but the loan wasn't getting approved, and he just kept pushing off the closing date, and also, you know, he would give us these elaborate excuses why this couldn't happen or that couldn't happen. And towards the end, when I just realized that it was a funding issue, is when I reached back out to Expert Home Buyer and asked to speak to, you know, somebody that was in charge that could make the decision to see if they were still interested in the home, and they were. And as I mentioned before, Reed Sterrett actually worked with us himself on the deal, and he made everything that he said. He made it happen. We're very happy with the experience. We would recommend them if you're in the market to buy a home, to sell a home, need home improvements. They were just great to work with, and they delivered everything that they said they would.
How did Expert Home Buyer communicate with you throughout the selling process, and how did that communication contribute to your satisfaction?
The communication was through email, through text, through phone calls, through in-person visits. It was a very hands-on experience, which we preferred and we liked, just because of the not so good experiences we had with the first two people that we contracted with to sell the home to. So them being keeping us in the loop every step of the way, and you know, everything up on the table from the beginning was very reassuring. We didn't, I mean, I would say in any, I guess, selling, buying situation, you know, it might be a glitch or two here or there, but everything worked out. Like, we asked for a fast closing. We couldn't have had it any faster. You know, we had talked about 45 days. It wasn't even 20 days, you know. Like, we're very happy. Literally, we signed our contract maybe a week and a half later. They told us there was a buyer. We went on vacation. By the time we got home, it was time to close. We already cashed the check. So
And
we're
communication was right on. If you called, you always got a call back,
absolutely,
right away or very shortly,
absolutely,
which is a big plus.
yes.
So in hindsight, what do you think sets Expert Home Buyer apart from other companies in the industry?
Looking back at this whole experience, I would say what sets Expert Home Buyer apart from everybody that we work with was the transparency, the care, the compassion. It didn't feel like we were just a name on a piece of paper or just another number, a file on somebody's desk. Even before we signed our contract, I would say at a minimum, we had sat and talked with Reed for probably about 7.5, 8 hours at a minimum. So by the time we signed our contract, we were very comfortable. Just like Tom was saying, anytime we reached out, any question was answered. Any concerns we had about any issues we had, they took care of right away. You know, we wasn't blown off, we wasn't ignored. You know, I'm not a real estate agent. I didn't know the process, so they were great at explaining things along the way and why this had to happen or why this was necessary. And even though everything happened fast, which was what we asked for, it was still done in a very thorough way. You know, everything was legal, above board. And that was very important to us. Just from the not so good experiences that we had before we came to them. So the main thing that I would say sets them apart is their customer service. In today's world, I don't know anybody else's experience, but customer service is not so great anymore. And their customer service is awesome. I would recommend them to my family, to my friends, to a stranger. They're just great. They feel like family to work with. So if you're in the market, give them a call.
So Tom, I want to kind of direct that same question, kind of directed specifically at you, and we'll kind of match those together with her. But, you know, in hindsight, what do you think sets Expert Home Buyer apart from other people in the industry?
They were out front with all the information we needed to know and what had to be done. And like Jenelle said, Reed talked to us for many hours and laid everything out, and that's how the plan came, and it followed right to course, and that's what we wanted. And there's a lot going on here that is really interesting with all the homes they're dealing with and the construction company, and they're right on point for a company. That's what I appreciate about it.
All right, and then I think you kind of touched on this, but finally, would you recommend Expert Home Buyer to friends or family looking to sell their homes?
Oh, most definitely. And if we ever come to the area again, I'll definitely be dealing with them, Expert Home Builders again. And very happy experience.